Welcome to Spokane Business at Spokane Talks. I'm Cyndi Donahue, and I'm very pleased to be joined by Lars Gilberts of the University District. Thank you for coming on.
Happy to.
What is the University District?
It is a great place. So we say that it's the place where business and education grow together, but realistically it's both a district, it's a nonprofit, it's a public development authority, so it's kind of anything that it needs to be able to create new opportunities in Spokane.
And so where is it physically?
So it's 770 acres, which is about twice the size of downtown Spokane, just at the east side of downtown. And it goes past north of Gonzaga all the way down to the freeway.
And that includes the new Catalyst building.
Correct.
And tell me more about that.
It's awesome.
That's
so
true.
again, so many. So one is it is re-envisioning the future for Spokane, but taking some things from our heritage. So in the past, shared facilities was a key way to be able to support a business district. And so they looked at the same thing, saying, how can we be smarter with our energy, with our water, with everything? And how can we use that to make it not just a greener community, but a more cost-effective community? So it imagines a lot of different things of how do we use our forests better, how do we use our energy, and how do we share between buildings? So it is a living laboratory as well as a building, as well as the smartest green office space in the Pacific Northwest and the country for a few hot minutes.
Wow, that's a lot. And so the University District is a location, it's a place, it's also a PDA. What is a PDA?
A public development authority. And so the city and the county have worked together to really say, if we're going to make plays for our community, we should really be focused on our approach and the place. And so if innovation has an address, it's the University District for this area. And so we really try to look at and say, what but for us wouldn't happen? The city has done some phenomenal work in our community, and yet there are more roads and bridges that need to be repaired or built than they can afford. And so for us, it allows us to focus on those things. The University District is reliant on ideas, and so even the Gateway Bridge is focusing on how do we help people and ideas move. But for us, that wouldn't have been built. Sprague is a street that hadn't been rebuilt in over 100 years. No one had touched the guts in over 100 years, the surface since 1985.
Ow.
And we had this catalytic building right there, but no plans in near like a decade to be able to rebuild that. So but for us and our $4 million, that street and the next round of development wouldn't have been possible. So the Public Development Authority is looking both at the physical infrastructure, but also with developers that have public right-of-way improvements that they need to make that might make their deal pencil or not pencil. We make sure that those developments move forward.
And as CEO of University District, are you trying to have more businesses move into the area and build or to take up space? What is your goal for other businesses locally and from outside?
A variety of things. So one, we're really respectful of the legacy that we are supporting. So the University District is home. It's not vacant and an open space that we're trying to take over. There are people that have invested their history, their livelihoods in this space. So we always want to make sure that we recognize that, respect that, and keep a space for people to grow with us. But additionally, yes, we're trying to make this the place that people want to live, learn, work, and play. And that learning is a critical thing that, 30, 40 years ago, there was Gonzaga University, and that was all that was in this area. And so we really want to grow that. Now we have 2 medical schools. We have a bunch of health professions, you name it. We've got close to 20,000 students, staff, and faculty in the University District proper, with many more in the region. But we have very few apartments and homes. We don't have as much lab space as we could. So we absolutely want to draw, but we want to draw a diverse group because the future is not just these siloed groups that then go home. No, it's a vibrant community of people sharing ideas, space, and creating new possibilities that wouldn't have happened if they didn't bump into each other.
So as it continues to grow, then people will go to school there, they'll live there, there'll be coffee shops there, their yoga studio will be there, which of course I care about.
Absolutely.
And so it's really growing an entire area into a vibrant community.
Yeah, and based off of the strengths that we already have. So again, it is a place that, so living, there are some great resources there, but in the next 2 to 3 years, next 2 years, we'll have over 600 new apartment units for a variety of incomes in the University District for working that we're going to be having already. We talked about the Catalyst building. The Catalyst building in the Innovation Center have over 200,000 square feet. We've got more of that coming on board, but playing. this is one of the few places that you can park your car for the office, and then on your lunch break, you can go paddleboarding on the river. You can go to several breweries. You can go walking on the trails, and you never have to remove your car. So we want to have more opportunities that people don't even have to have a car, that they can wake up, go to their job, go to what they love, and live and work in the place that they care about.
And are there tax advantages or reasons that if someone's a business owner that they would want to be in the university district?
Absolutely. So one, a lot of times when you go to a place, you have to care about what you're doing more than anybody else. You don't necessarily have a cheerleader on your side. So for us, both from the business operation and the infrastructure, we are their cheerleaders. But additionally, this is an opportunity zone. Most of the university district, south of the river really, is an opportunity zone. And we're going to be advocating for that to be expanded and refined. So if you are investing in a piece of land, in a building, or in your business, that you will have tax advantages to being in the university district. Additionally, we can help with public right-of-way improvements, and the city has a number of overlays to be able to make sure that your cost for doing business in the district is less than it would be otherwise.
So you're really the cheerleader of and the CEO of University District.
Absolutely.
And what's the biggest obstacle you've faced in leading this? And how long have you been there?
About 3.5 years that
Okay.
I've been in this role, and the most challenging thing has been reading the future. And then helping other people to see it and care about it and act in a concerted and coordinated way. Seeing a pandemic would have been pretty hard to do, and yet all the different things that in the vision that I saw for our community are still true. And so if anything, the pandemic was, while unforeseen, has helped kind of overcome some of these barriers. The district was created, everything comes back to Expo 74 in Spokane, right?
Of course.
We brought the world to see Spokane. We had an amazing park, an amazing downtown, but we didn't have as much to keep them. And so the business community identified 10 strategies, and we get to help own several of those. And so they saw the future, and so that keeping that vision fresh. And so we see that the health and life sciences, innovation, things that drive skilled jobs, that help us compete globally, all of these things have always mattered. And yet, in a post-pandemic world, they are most critical for our global competitiveness and for our local health. And so we really see that and own that, but still helping people to see around that corner, to see what's potential, what's possible in Spokane and what's needed, has been the biggest challenge, and will probably continue to be.
Well, you're a good cheerleader. I think it's and are you from Spokane?
Yes.
Are you?
This is home for me. So my dad grew up north of town, and this is even where I say that we were economic refugees, that we had a family farm north of town, and challenging life circumstances led to us losing that, and there just weren't enough opportunities to keep my dad local. A lot of my aunts and uncles stayed, but we had to leave. And so we'd always come back at least twice a year, and so I got to see Spokane grow and change. But part of why I am such a cheerleader is I want people to have the opportunity to stay, for their children and for the family to come back, for good paying jobs and good opportunities.
And I know you and I have talked about this before, but how are we going to try to keep our university students here? So I think a lot of people come to Spokane for school, they're one of our students, and then they think they need to go, back to the big city.
Yep.
So what do you think will help us with that?
Absolutely. I think so. Part of it is making connections. What some of the best strengths of Spokane are relationships, but sometimes that also keeps things a little proprietary. So if you are, especially from another community, or you're not familiar with an industry, you may not know about the opportunities that exist. And especially as we have so many startups right now, or as we have the opportunities to work remotely, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what the possibilities are here. And then realistically, even when you know all that, if you're graduating with student debt, or there's opportunities in Seattle or wherever that pay significantly more, that's going to be a challenge. And so I think part of what we need to address is we need to continue to produce more value so we can demand higher wages here, so that we're not seen as cheap, but good value, so that people are willing to stay for a competitive wage, but yet a lower cost of living. And businesses are willing to hire people here because they have a lower cost of doing business, a lower turnover, and still probably a little bit cost advantage on the wage. So I think those are two critical things. But another one is having a critical mass of jobs. We need skilled programmers, we need skilled medical professionals, and their spouses or partners they need to have options as well. So when people move here or stay here, that there's not just one opportunity, but several, so that if that first job isn't the right fit, there's something else.
There's another job here. And how do you think diversity plays into that? Because I've heard that from people before, if they're moving to Spokane or looking at Spokane, that because we're not diverse, then we're not becoming diverse. And so how do you think we should address that, or if that's being addressed?
Absolutely. Well, I think there's a perception and a reality issue there. For centuries, this has been a gathering place, and my sister and my aunt are active Native Americans that some of their tribes would gather here centuries before anybody with my complexion was around.
Yeah.
And so we've got a history of diversity. We've had over 10,000 refugees and asylees resettled in this community. We've got a lot of diversity that we don't necessarily feature or recognize. And so I think part of it is recognizing and highlighting that. We've kicked out white supremacists twice out of this region. We are practical and progressive. We care for people. And also, we have some really disturbing things as well. So I think part of this is taking injustice and really nasty folks on, take the issues on, take the people on head on, highlight the people that feel welcome here. And then as we have people that are coming back, as people that are coming in, we are a friendly people. Let's do it. As we have diverse families come, let's help them be successful. As we have professionals, let's keep them, because that's what's going to help drive growing wages for everybody. So I think it's both perception and reality. But until we do a better job with owning that locally, I think it's going to be difficult to fulfill the promise that this is a great place for everybody to live, learn, work, and play.
So celebrating diversity that we have, and also dealing with the issues that we have as well.
Absolutely.
And what do you think, other than Spokane Nice and our welcoming community that I agree is such a great part of being a Spokanite, what do you think is a reason that doing business here is so great in Spokane?
It's a great value. And it's interesting, so oftentimes we talk about being cheap, and I think we've got to be really careful about that, especially with our housing prices growing and things like that. But the return on your investment is ridiculous right now. So yes, there are some cost advantages, but overall, the access and opportunity here are amazing. So I'd say, one, you're going to get a better return on your investment. So for every dollar that you get, you're going to get an upfront value, you're going to get a longer runway, but also the growth in this community is going to produce a better return than you're going to get almost any other place. We're still at that verge of being discovered. So I think that's part of it. But also, like, I have lived in multiple places around the country and around the world. I have never lived in a community where your ability to not just enjoy the benefits of this community now, but also your access and opportunity to frame and form the future are so accessible. And so this is a place that you can enjoy it now and create the future that you want. Our leaders, the wealth, you can sit down with people in a fairly timely fashion. You can actually inform the policies. Your voice can be heard. If you want to create something, if you want to invest in something, this is a place you can do it. And in so many places, just regardless of the size, that's not possible.
Yeah, it is very accessible. I mean, you can reach almost anyone here, that's true.
Yep.
And if someone in the community wanted to if you wanted them to know one thing about University District, or take one thing away to remember, what would it be?
We exist for the good of the entire community. When I was talking about coming back to Expo 74, it's not a joke. Like, in the end, all of these things have been done for the good of the entire community. Right now, as we're in the middle of this pandemic, the health of our families, the health of our community, our economic resiliency are front and center. We are the engine of a knowledge economy. We exist not to make our 770 acres the best possible. We exist to leverage that for the good of the entire community. So if you don't see how you are connected to the University District, to your quality of life, to your health, to the future of your community, or to your children, etc., reach out to me. I would love to help you to see how it's possible and how it can be to your advantage, to your good.
And someone could go to the University District website to learn more. And do you ever give tours to people?
Absolutely.
Do you? I need to come
Yes.
take a tour. Why have I not
Absolutely.
had this tour?
And right now, this is a great time. Like with the
Yeah.
walking tour, it is along the river, across the bridges, and across some of the smartest buildings and blocks in our community. And there's so much more to share than we could have shared right now, and I'm happy to meet with people in person, virtually, whatever they're comfortable with.
I can't believe I haven't had a tour and there's tours.
Come on by.
Okay, I will. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
I'm Kamika Love, but you might know me as the Budget Mom. A lot of people read I paid off $77,000 in 8 months, but what they don't hear about is the journey and struggle it took to get to that point. After I got divorced, I found myself shopping to feel better. Ultimately, it put me into credit card debt. When my son was born, it was the first time I actually felt true responsibility. I knew that there was a better life for me, but I didn't know how to get there. Finances are really boring. We make budgeting beautiful. That's what we do here at the Budget Mom. When I first started budgeting, it was critical for me that I had two important things. I needed to have multiple savings accounts, and I needed to make sure that I wasn't flooded with unexpected fees, and STCU provides that for me. I really couldn't do that at just any one of the large banks. It's awesome because when I walk in, they all know me by name. It wasn't just easy to join STCU, it was comfortable. We're inspiring hope. We're inspiring change. STCU is here for good.